It's Talk Back with Matthew Dunn and Jim Leggett, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Call 442-8255, 442-TALK. Whether it's the guests or the calls, Talk Back is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Hour number 2 off and rolling here on this Tuesday edition of Talk Back. We certainly appreciate you listening out there, wherever you're listening to the show. However you're accessing the show, we say a giant thank you here at KSYL. I am Matthew Dunn. He is Jim Leggett. Welcome back to the show. Well, it's one of your favorite hours of the week. We encourage your involvement throughout the show by giving us a call at 442-8255. It's our thrill and honor to welcome back to the show the Mayor of Pineville, Clarence Fields. Good morning, sir.
Morning. How's everyone?
We are doing fine. You, I'm going to give you away because you said Miss Rosa might be going on a little girls' trip, but the weather won't cooperate because you'd be fishing if she was.
Boy, I'd love to be fishing or whatever. So, she may not go on that girls' trip. So, but if she doesn't, then we'll both probably.
She might have heard this and changed her mind. Yeah. So, what's he up to? No, let's take a phone call. Good morning. You're on with the mayor. Hello. Good morning. You're on with Mayor Fields. Going once, going twice. Give us a call back at 442-8255. Mayor, busy time of year. Kiddo's been back in school now for a couple of weeks. Yeah. I saw in the most recent Pineville news that a good friend of everyone's, Pastor Joshua Joy Dara, joined the faculty at LC. Mm-hmm. A lot of exciting things. A crossing guard got singled out at Leslie Moore for the incredible work she's doing into the community. Yeah. New businesses possibly on the horizon in Pineville. A lot of stuff going on north of the river.
A lot of stuff going on, a little bit of stuff that you can talk about, a little bit of stuff that you can't talk about. You know how that is and everything. But congratulations, obviously, Reverend Darrell with his new position at Louisiana College. So, that's pretty exciting news. And, speaking of crossing guards, those are special individuals. And a lot of people won't realize that, to be very honest with you, they're very hard to come by because of, one, the responsibility. Two, there's not a whole lot of pay to it. You got to, it's something you've got to have you got to love kids to do that. Mm-hmm. But, boy, they are a blessing when it comes to the safety of kids that, particularly, we have the crossing guard at, Pineville Elementary, who you just recognized, and also at Leslie Moore Elementary. Mm-hmm. And so it's a thankless job for the most part or whatever. But I tell you, it's fun for me to pass those schools and those crossing guards. They're always smiling, mm-hmm. They're always waving, and that says a lot about their character. So we appreciate them very much.
It's so important too as we get away, and I see it on a daily basis because I'm passing. I live sort of near Bolton High School, so I see a lot of their students mm-hmm. walking to school. But you don't have a whole lot of kids who walk or ride their bikes much anymore to school. It seems like in Pineville, though, you've got the last little bit of people who certainly are walking a lot, or maybe they're parking a little ways so the kids do have to cross the street. We remind everyone out there, please be careful in school zones.
Particularly in downtown Pineville Elementary, you would be amazed how many kids, because of, in proximity to Pineville Elementary in the downtown area, how many kids actually walk to school. Yeah. And it's really a lot of them. And again, it's so important that we be very attentive to those individuals each and every morning and each and every afternoon when they get out of school. Also, just a reminder, too, on some of those schools, because of the now change in the makeup of some of the schools, some of those, the times have changed relative to some, how, used to the schools used to be, 7 o'clock, something like that. But some of those times have changed at certain schools or whatever. So be aware of that also.
Isn't there a threshold of a mile, within a mile, that they don't provide school bus service now?
That's a great question, Jim.
That
I'm not
preclude
sure.
parents from taking them, but
that's why you see so many kids in the downtown area mm-hmm. walking to school, because there is I don't want to say no bus service, but because of in proximity to Pineville Elementary, a lot of them, they walk to school because of that reason. So you're exactly right about that.
Let's take a phone call. Good morning. You're on with the mayor. Go ahead. And they dropped off. Come on, guys. Give us a call. 442.
Must be me.
No, not at all.
Using the wrong finger.
I'm telling you. Oh, let's try it again. Good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, gentlemen. I got 2 questions for you. Number one, the rebroadcast that you used to do tonight, you're not doing that anymore?
It is no longer there, and the problem was where we would have to run only 1 hour of it, and in addition to that, we would have to have someone controlling the board, and unfortunately, we're not having anyone here really at the stations that late at night unless they're running a nighttime show. So you can always check out the podcast on KSYL.com.
Okay, all right. All right, my second question is this, and I'm glad I got the mayor on this Tuesday.
Thank you.
Are they ever going to finish that bridge on the old 71 in front of the old Stoneckers?
Very good question. I was actually over there late last week just to, kind of take a ride over there and see, where they were, what they were doing, and all the above. I will get you an answer, and I'll call it back into the radio show. I can tell you from just my observation that they've got a long way to go, but I'll see if I can get some information and, kind of call back and give everybody kind of a time as to when expected completion of that particular project may happen.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. You're on with the mayor. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
Hey, is it true that you're opening a pumpkin patch in your backyard for Halloween?
He's stuck on pumpkins, isn't he?
That's hey, by the way, I have many plants, house plants, and all the above. I love my yard, and but I've not gotten to that point yet relative to a pumpkin patch. Matter of fact, I just pulled up all of my my tomato plants and things like that from my garden that that I had this past year. That's a great idea.
Everyone head over to the mayor's house tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think Rich actually is spreading the rumors. So,
that was
I think he's taking prepayments. So if you see him driving up in a Mercedes this morning, I think you might know why.
Wait a second. Did Rich Dupree driving that styling? Is he? Are you paying him more than we thought you were, Mayor?
I'm missing something, I guess, or whatever. I need to go back and take a look at that. I got my old 2011 pickup truck, they call it, old days, whatever I get around. So anyway, but I'll let you know about that pumpkin patch.
Hey, do you know what's happening with Huey P. Long? Do y'all have any kind of update on?
Yeah, as we speak, absolutely nothing has happened. Obviously, that entire facility has been, I guess you could say, for lack of better words, put on mothballs as we speak or whatever. But there's no activity. There's been no talk about what potentially might happen or anything of that nature or whatever.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the call, Brian. Mayor, I don't want to change and go sour here, but always when we have you on, we got to talk about the good. We got to talk about some of the not so good. Mm-hmm. There were some incidents that took place over the weekend in Alexandria, certainly including a very well-publicized murder that happened in a very public place.
Correct.
However, there has been some issues of late with crime in Pineville. I'm not saying that's piling it on, but there's just been a couple of incidents in the last couple of weeks. One of which is a little hard to talk about, I'm sure, from your end, and that being that a Pineville police officer was arrested for allegedly, of course. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty,
correct,
but allegedly punching out an umpire at a baseball game. These are some things that you don't like to see. Is it just that we're reading about it at the same time, or does Pineville need to continue to try to address some crime?
We're not unlike any other community in Louisiana, in America. There are unfortunately with everything that's going on around us. When you talk about drugs and all kinds of other things, domestic issues. Mm-hmm. We're not immune from those kinds of things. And to be very honest with you, I learned of the passing of a young gentleman early this morning, something that you would never think. So we have no answers for that other than to do everything we can do, particularly on the law enforcement side, as far as how we vet and or how we select, whether it's a public safety people or regular city employee or whatever. Unfortunately, I think obviously there's so many things that's going on in our world today and so many things that are impacting people that I don't know if we can control that sometime or whatever. All we can do, the best we can do in helping people or whatever. The incident involving the officer is unfortunate. The incident involving the officer, from what we know to this point or whatever, people really need to think about what the consequences are.
Sure.
When you make decisions that are not, that you should not make or whatever. And unfortunately, that decision was made, and that has to be dealt with. But crime is an issue, and we have to deal with it accordingly.
I don't think people realize too, and we always bring up Ned because of growing up in a household where I got to see both sides of things. I don't think people realize too, when a police officer, or even if it's a low level city official, gets in trouble or does something that they're not supposed to do, there's a domino effect. There's a
Absolutely.
ripple effect that goes all the way up to the mayor's office. And in turn, you guys have to remind people that, hey, 99.9% of the employees that we have are great. But occasionally, you find someone who's not perfect, and we're not perfect people.
Right. People, we're human.
Right.
Period. We're human, and, there's no way to vet something that you may not know about or whatever, and what triggers things, who knows? But those things have to be dealt with. It starts from the mayor's office, all the way down. We have responsibilities. Fortunately, and I say fortunately for us, we're under the public's eye and scrutiny and all the above, probably to some extent, whatever, more so than most people or whatever. So everything surfaces and everything has an impact with an end result.
Let's take another phone call. Good morning. You're on with Mayor Fields. Go ahead.
Mayor, I've heard you on TV, on the radio here, talking sometimes about the long-term outlook for city insurance and pensions.
Correct.
Is there a problem with that?
Oh yeah, that's a real problem. Insurances and then pensions. Speaking of insurance, sometimes we've done relatively well as far as our insurance, particularly health insurance. But here again, going back to some things you don't control, you do. We try to do programs where you encourage people to stay healthy and take some necessary steps or whatever, but you can't control major, I guess you could say, circumstances, whether it's cancer or whatever it may be, which impacts the bottom line when you talk about insurance premiums and things of that nature. I'll give you a perfect example. You go from you like to see zero major medical issues with employees, with people, period. But last year we had probably 11 or 12 major medical problems with employees, and we pray for those employees that they get well and all the above, but we have absolutely no control over that. Here again, we went from single digits back in the literally from 2000 up to now, and literally in the 30 percentile as far as the city's responsibility as far as the pension payments are concerned or whatever. You just don't have an idea, because that has a lot to do with investments, how the funding is invested, the market, it's market driven. So there's so many variables there that can impact the pension. And also one thing that people may not realize is how many people are in those pension plans, and you get a bunch of people who retire at one time, it has an impact on pension plans. So it's a very difficult situation to be in, but it too has to be dealt with.
It's once again a unique perspective too, from what you're involved in with that as well, because you almost have to be a CEO. I bet you anything. When you first ran for mayor, it was in 2002?
Actually, I first became mayor in 2000, first ran in 2002.
Okay. Forgive me. When you first became mayor, I bet you insurance was probably the furthest thing from your mind.
Health insurance and pension plans and all of those things were the furthest thing from your mind. You're so busy dealing with daily citizen-driven things, and then those things begin to pop up, and then you realize those are really the big things that you have to deal with: the health insurances, the pensions, and some of the other insurance-related things that come along with trying to operate a city the size of Pineville.
Let's take one more phone call, and then we've got to break. Good morning. You're on with the mayor.
Are there any plans to repair the spot on Steely Road near BJ's Pizza where they put a new culvert?
Correct.
And we thought eventually they would cover it up and make it nice and smooth, but it's horrible.
Okay, I'll have a look at that. Yeah, we became aware of that. By the way, that is that particular area. No, not trying to escape the responsibility, but that's actually outside of the corporate limits. But let me tell you a little bit of what they do there. Is they go in and make those repairs just like we did on Greer Road, and then they put in white rocks or whatever it may be, and then you wait for it to settle, and then come back and when it's good and settled or whatever. Particularly with the weather the way it is now, then you come back and overlay it to try to smooth it out. But I will follow up on that, and hopefully that'll get accomplished very soon.
I appreciate it. They did come back in and put more rocks on it.
Right, exactly.
It's still horrible.
Yeah, they probably.
I appreciate you checking it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the call, sir.
And like again, no excuse. They probably put more rocks on it because it was still settling. But I will follow up on that, and hopefully in the very near future it will be brought back to some sense of normality.
A lot more to get to with the mayor, including the agenda for this evening. Still a whole lot with Mayor Clarence Fields right after this.
You're listening to Talkback 970 with Matthew Dunn and Jim Leggett, broadcasting live from the Kinetics Technologies studio. Back to the conversation of Talkback. You're welcome to join in by calling 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
Hey, welcome back in to Talkback as we are joined with our monthly visit with Pineville Mayor Clarence Fields. If you have a call or question for the mayor, please feel free to give us one at 442-8255. It looks like we are leading off the break with one. Go ahead. You're on with the mayor.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
I have a question about the Susek Edgewood Drive roundabout.
Yes, sir.
Have we already talked about that? I just tuned in.
No, we have
talked about that yet?
No, have not talked about it yet.
Okay. My question is that a good expenditure of money based on what you're really trying to do? Because if you're still going to have to stop traffic and let the buses out for the roundabout every day, that kind of defeats the whole purpose, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, you could look at it that way. Now, let me talk about the money part of it or whatever, because the funding for that project, if it happens, solely can only be used for that kind of project, whether it's here or whether it's elsewhere in some other community around the state of Louisiana. So, yeah, that's where you wish you could take funding and apply it where you think it was going to be most. I guess you could say it could be utilized to the best of our ability or whatever, but unfortunately we don't have the say-so as the funding project. So that funding can only be utilized if the project does not happen. Then what happens is that funding will probably go to some other roundabout perspective somewhere in the state of Louisiana. As far as is it the best thing or is it the right decision to make? I can tell you there was a meeting held probably a week and a half ago where DOTD met with, and I was not in that meeting, by the way, with school board officials and school officials over at Pineville Junior High, and they looked at some other things after the fact that the public hearing that was held at Pineville Junior High School, and they're tweaking the as far as the construction of that particular project. My personal opinion is that. Because actually I live on Edgewood, and I think when it's all said and done, if it's done 10 or 15 years down the road, it'll be something that will be a good project because it's going to continually be a problem on Edgewood Drive. As far as one thing we don't want to do is literally stop traffic like you said on Edgewood Drive, but I'm noticing a lot more traffic, and particularly not just during school hours, but all during the day on Edgewood Drive, and it's going to eventually become a problem, even to the point where we have some communities or some neighborhoods where so many people are diverting their way off of the main drag, like Edgewood Drive and places like that, where it's causing some other problems because obviously they're finding alternate routes to be able to try to minimize being in the traffic.
Yes, sir. Listen, I want to make one comment.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, and I also want to thank you for your service to the city over the last 18 years. You've done an excellent job. You've always remained fiscally sound, and I think that your leadership has put us in a very good spot as a city, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, that's very kind, and the thing really goes to a lot of individuals I get the opportunity to work with each and every day, and fiscally sound. That's what we tried to be. We have some challenges that that are upcoming, but our responsibility from that front is to make sure that we educate people and keep people informed as to what the needs are and how citizens play a part in that to continue the efforts to put ourselves in a position to where people, one, want to live, and two, that we can take advantage of opportunities as they come along.
Thank you for the call, sir. Next caller, good morning. You're on with the mayor. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mayor, Mr. Jim.
Good morning, sir.
Matt.
How are you?
Morning.
Mayor, it's your partner up in Grant Parish.
I know.
Your sister and I are wondering when you're going to come up here and visit with
Well,
us.
see, now, hey, Larry, you put me on the spot because I talked to my mom. We were up in Tallulah on, we were in Tallulah on Saturday at a funeral, and I called my mom on our way back from Tallulah, and then my wife reminded me last night, weren't we supposed to go to Colfax on Sunday after church, and we just didn't get that opportunity. So boy, you've put me on the spot, but you're right.
Keep putting him on the spot. You ought to go visit your mother.
I need to, and only 17 miles away. I need to get up there. But
Yeah,
tell my sister.
It's not like we live the other side of Toledo Bend.
Yeah. Look, by the way, tell my sister Quinn hello.
I'll call her and tell her.
Okay.
Take care, partner.
All right.
Thanks, Larry. We were just talking to the parish president of Grant right now, right? Parish president, or possibly you
ex
could say-
officio.
right? The most interesting man in Grant Parish. But anyway, Mayor, we're due for another break. We've gotten a lot of great phone calls. However, it's kind of kept us from getting to the agenda, so we'll finally get to that, as well as some upcoming events coming up in the city of Pineville. Right back, continuing the whole other half hour with the mayor of Pineville.
You're listening to Talk Back on KSYL 970 AM and 104.9 FM. You can join the conversation by calling 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
Back here on a Tuesday edition of Talk Back on this sacred day as we remember and honor the September 9/11, I should say, terrorism attacks that took place 17 years ago today. As once again, this day will forever live in our memories and our hearts as we honor America on September 11th. We are joined, of course, with our monthly visit with Pineville Mayor Clarence Fields. And, Mayor, we have yet to get to the agenda, so let's dive right in.
Okay. Very quickly, I just want to respond back also again to, we don't shy away from conversation about potentially, controversial issues or whatever. Obviously the roundabout has been a topic of discussion throughout the city of Pineville the last few months. And but because we just want to keep people informed and hopefully they have enough information as we move along to see if the project actually take place. But, one of the issues with the with this particular roundabout and what we potentially are looking at is one, of course, Susek Drive, the traffic coming off of 28 East now diverting itself down Susek Drive and then coming on the Edgewood Drive, bottlenecking to some extent sometimes at that particular location. But the real idea is Susek Drive, and the other is, slowing traffic down on Edgewood and at the same time keep traffic moving. And red lights, unfortunately, and I'll have to say it, don't do that. They stop traffic, or but the roundabout could be an answer, particularly for the future, and keep traffic moving at the same time slowing traffic down. So it's all about a safety.
And
thing.
you talked about funding too. If that isn't done, the money goes elsewhere in the state. That happened twice in Alexandria that I can remember. And you just go to the rear of the line.
Well, to be very, that's how we, I guess you could say, put ourselves in line for the funding, because another community turned down the funding and it shifted. And through the MPO, we said, well, we want to take a look at it. So that's why we are where we are now to make a decision. And if we don't, somebody else will, believe me.
Jim brings up a great point. It's you guys get such little outside funding now.
Oh yeah.
It's when you have this rare occasion. I'm not saying you do it just to do it, but yeah, you take advantage of it, for God's sakes.
When you talk about the funding over the years, through whether it's down from the federal government through the state government through the police bureau to the local government, has it's just continually gets less and less. I'll give you a perfect example. We have two things that we apply for each and every year, and we have been for the last 4 or 5 years. Matter of fact, one of them's on the agenda tonight, where we're redoing in the College Park area off of 107 in Pineville. We're removing water lines and also putting in fire hydrants in a area there, and moving those water lines to the front and out of the back of properties, to enhance that property, let alone the safety part of it when you talk about fire protection and all the above. I can tell you over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been averaging getting $35,000 to $40,000 to go toward that project, to do it in phases. This year, we pretty much aware that if we have made application, if we get any funding, it's probably going to be between $10,000 and $15,000. So it's slowly dwindling, let alone a lot of funding that has went by the wayside. So lots on local government's back now.
Okay, I've gotten some language from Rich Dupree here, your chief of staff, but we have gotten a lot of questions here on the Facebook page. I've neglected. I'm see about 3 out of these 7 questions have been about alcohol in Pineville.
Correct.
Let's talk about that, and then we're going to take one more commercial break after you address that, and we finally will get to the agenda. But let's talk about this, because a lot of people seem to have a lot of questions.
And it's actually on the agenda for the night, to
be
very honest with you.
Very good segue, Mayor.
Well, yeah, and very, very good, because people need to be knowledgeable. It's going to be item number 13 on the agenda. And what's going to happen is the registrar of voters, as we well know, there was a petition that was generated or commissioned by Brookshire's and Walmart corporations relative to package sales of alcohol or beer and wine, whatever you may call it, and by the way, the same company, Brookshire's and Walmart, who hired this company called Texas Strategies, out of Texas. They are in 4 other communities besides Pineville in Louisiana, doing exactly what they did here in Pineville. They're in Oak Grove, Louisiana, Ruston, Louisiana, Mendon, Louisiana, and a couple other places in Louisiana, doing the exact same thing that they've been hired to do. So this is solely happening on the backs of 2 major companies because of the packaged liquor issue that they would like to see in their particular stores. What will happen is that this company, Texas Strategies, had the responsibility to those companies, to go out and put together a petition which says that by law they had to get 25% of the registered voters in the city of Pineville to sign that petition to literally force, by law, the city of Pineville to put on the ballot, for people to vote on, registered voters in the city of Pineville, the sale of alcohol, which started out to be, or as advertised by them, for packaged liquor. As we well know, currently the city of Pineville since 2013 has, and the people passed a measure relative to restaurant-only sales of alcohol, which is on the books as we speak. Also, the restaurant-only sales, there will be 5 propositions, that will be on this particular ballot come December the 8th that people will have to vote on, including, again, the restaurant-only initiative or whatever. So, what could potentially happen is Pineville could lose its status, or people that voted for the restaurant-only initiative back in October 2013, that could be lost if people go vote no for everything, the 5 different propositions on the ballot.
This is a big election for
It's
Pineville.
a very big election.
30 years ago, I can't imagine this happening.
Well, Lynn Stewart from the Registrar of Voters Office will deliver that to council meeting tonight, and then the council won't have the opportunity to vote yes or no, and but we can come back to that, because as you can see, it's complicated and people need to understand exactly what we're facing here.
It is. More on that in the agenda right after this.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. You're listening to Talk Back on KSYL 970 AM and 104.9 FM. You can join the conversation by calling 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
Continuing with Pineville Mayor Clarence Fields. And Mayor, I know you had a few more comments on the alcohol discussion in Pineville, and then we'll get right to the agenda after that.
Because it is an agenda item tonight. Lynn Stewart from the Registrar of Voters will deliver to the City Council on this evening at the 6 o'clock council meeting the petition that has been literally, I guess to say, verified as far as being legal. According to the law, and to be very honest, it's going to be a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Pineville, state of Louisiana, as required by Louisiana law. So it's not that the city council will have a choice to vote yes and no tonight on this initiative. The city council has a responsibility because of what the law says, that they have to ratify, the verification of the petition that is being presented to them on this evening, and they have to put it on call for the election.
What if they voted no?
It won't matter.
That's what I think.
It does not matter.
I wonder why it happens like that.
Unfortunately, I've not had this discussion, and that's something that we'll actually have to have some conversation about. Right. Is voting no an issue if they vote no? Because they may have broken the law. I don't know this yet. Okay,
I can imagine
they may have broken the law.
I can imagine there being a no vote years ago. I don't think it'll happen now.
So with that said, if that does happen, do you and your staff know the ramifications? Meaning, is this a foregone conclusion? Do people are just going to have to accept this who don't want this?
It's a foregone conclusion that people have to vote on what they want.
Okay.
That is and some people will say, and we understand that, and we expected that we opened this door and all the above, but in today's time, this was probably coming. Those folks that came in representing Brookshire's and Walmart Corporation, I have to give them credit. They know their business. That's what they do for a living, going around and doing exactly what they were hired to do. What we've heard is they have an 83% success level at getting something on a ballot. Or getting a petition signed and everything.
Sounds like their work is already done.
Walmart has some very good lobbyists. I can assure you of that.
When you have very good lobbyists and a lot of money, you can pretty much do a lot of things. Now, the bottom line is that it is left up to the people when they go to the polls to make those decisions for themselves. But the other issue here also is that, and that's how maybe somehow, some way, we as elected officials, we as the city of Pineville can play some part to educate people as to what they're voting on, what 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 mean, or what the combination of 1, 2, or 5 may mean, and things of that nature, because it's very complex, and people need to know, regardless of what they think they want, or what they think they don't want. They need to be very mindful and need to be educated to some extent of what they are actually voting on.
Makes for an exciting December.
It does indeed. It does. Final break with the mayor. Right back to discuss what's left on the agenda.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. You're listening to Talk Back on KSYL 970 AM and 104.9 FM. You can join the conversation by calling 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
Final segment here with Pineville Mayor Clarence Fields, and I'm going to turn the floor over to him. And Mayor, rapid fire until the end, my friend.
I hope I have that much left. But anyway, on the City Council, just a reminder, the City Council meeting on this evening at 6 o'clock at Pineville City Hall. Legal Committee meeting prior to that. There's several, things on there to be dealt with. One, we have to make a new appointment to the Central Louisiana Port Authority, and so we're going to offer up to the City Council a gentleman named Gil McKee to serve on the Central Louisiana Port Authority. Also, I mentioned this earlier about the College Park, some of the things that we're doing in College Park relative to enhancing that the water system in College Park. The council is going to be asked to accept phase 4. There are probably 2 more phases, but we think we're going to go ahead and this particular year go ahead and do phases 5 and 6 and get that project completed and everything. Obviously, I mentioned the biggie, which will be the resolution relative to the council receiving the petition on the alcohol. That'll be the alcohol issue in the city of Pineville. We are also calling for, or I will suggest to the council to call for a special council meeting on Tuesday, September the 18th, I think that's a Tuesday, at 5 p.m. for consideration and confirmation of some individuals to be appointed to the, and you've heard a lot about this in the last few weeks, as commissioners for the Pineville Downtown Development District, which is something we're trying to get moving. To be very, our thanks to Senator Luno, because the state's moving quicker than we thought they would, and kind of caught us a little bit off guard. So we've got to do some things very quickly. So we have some, by the way, the makeup of the Pineville Downtown Development District, which is all about economic development and revitalization of the downtown area. There are 7 members who will be, by law, under the legislation that was created, that will be serving on that particular committee. And the city of Pineville has 3 appointments, and we kind of have our appointments that we're gonna present to the council. And then 4 other entities here in Central Louisiana also have appointments to that particular committee, and that's the Chamber of Commerce, the NRBIA, the North Rapids Business and Industry Alliance, the Rapids Parish Police Jury, and also CLEDA. So we're working with most of those folks as to what their recommendations are going to be, or individuals to be recommended to the City Council for approval for the Downtown District Development Committee. The reason that we are calling the special meeting is because we don't have everybody yet in place or whatever, and we really need to get this accomplished as soon as we possibly can to get the other parts of this scenario moving forward, because we're behind the 8 ball as far as time is concerned. One thing we don't like to do, particularly I don't like to do, is I don't like to do anything. We probably could have had it done tonight, but I like to make sure that the council is aware of, one, what we're doing, 2, who these individuals are, that they can be vetted properly, and that the city council will be on board with the recommendations that we might make to them. So that'll be a biggie coming up on September the 18th. That's going to be I guess you could say, most of what's going to happen at the city council meeting tonight, other than the most obvious or whatever. And we're looking forward to that. I invite people, please, 6 o'clock council meeting, 5:30 legal committee meeting. Just become a part of your government, and we like to share a lot of things, and try to keep people informed as much as we possibly can. The most transparent city government in the state of Louisiana. If there was an award, you guys would get it. Anything else, Mayor? You got about 2 minutes. Anything else you'd like to get to? Yeah, just a couple of things, because they're glaring to some extent or whatever. The sidewalk project on Shamrock Street. When I say Shamrock Street, Shamrock Street obviously is located near the National Cemetery, and it goes toward the expressway. There's a sidewalk project that's substantially complete. Again, from a funding perspective, that is a total state-funded project, and but that project is just about complete from Main Street all the way to the expressway at the corner of Shamrock and at Melrose. Also, you'll see a lot of, particularly now downtown, and you probably see it on the levee also, a lot of seemingly construction going on, digging and all the above. That's contractors for Atmos Energy. Atmos Energy has been in the city for several months now, and as well as being around some other places in the state of Louisiana. They're doing a huge, I guess you could say, as far as replacing gas lines and things of that nature. So they're kind of digging all over our city. But my hat's off to Atmos Energy, by the way, because they've done a fine job under very difficult circumstances when you talk about digging up sidewalks and digging up roads and things of that nature. But they've done an excellent job in, one, keeping us informed, but most importantly, two, putting things back to where they were, and also dealing with the traffic issue. So we almost never hear anything from anybody complaining about what they're doing.
It's a very, as you can tell, busy time. We're not in July anymore. It's a very busy time right now for the city of Pineville. And Mayor, I saw Doug. Of course, he's been around promoting some events coming up. Unfortunately, the time bug is going to get us here, but we look forward to discussing that more with you when we visit with you in October.
Yeah, look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.
And for Pineville Mayor Clarence Fields and Jim Leggett, I'm Matthew Dunn. This has been Talkback on KSYL 970 AM, 104.9 FM, and 100.3 HD3. If you missed any or all of the interview with Rod Knowles in the first hour or Pineville Mayor Clarence Fields in the second, visit the podcast section on KSYL.com or the app later today. God bless, everyone. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
You've been listening to Talkback 970. The views expressed were those of the host and callers, and not necessarily those of Sinlaw Broadcasting.